Hey, Banditos. Welcome to another episode of the Dollar Bin Bandits. I am Joe Marcello.
I'm Warren Phillips.
I'm Mike Farah.
And you guys are not seeing things. There are 5 windows here. We have 2 returning guests. We have Jean Michel, the owner of Megabrain Comics.
Hello.
And we have the man behind Terrificon, Mitch Hallock. How are you, sir?
Oh, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
I was looking behind me.
Oh, yeah.
The man with Terrificon behind him.
Behind him, yes.
Here we go.
The convention that brought me back to comic book conventions, mind you.
Oh, really?
Nice.
I haven't been to a comic book convention since God, my wife and I have been married for in almost 10 years.
Oh,
Nice.
Last time I went to a convention was New York Comic Con when my wife and I were dating, and then
yeah. And now that you've spent all this like ridiculous amounts of money at my show, there goes 10 years. There you go. Sorry about that. My friend's a divorce lawyer if you need some.
So we are going to be discussing kind of the year in review 2022 in the world of comics as it pertains to comics, comic sales, entertainment, comic cons, maybe a little Dollar Bin Bandits thrown in there as well. So Mikey Farah, why don't you kick it off?
Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Yes, we are here to discuss the year that was 2022. And I thought we'd kick it off with Jean, who is a retailer and who probably best knows the ins and outs, the hots, the nots of what was happening in the comic book world of 2022. I'm just going to throw it out there. What was it like being a retailer this year? What were some of the big books, and what were some of maybe the big misses that just were not moving units?
So I mean, we're not an unusual store, but we're a store who, like, our biggest demographics are younger kids and families. We sell a lot of graphic novels and just a lot of like middle grade and YA stuff. But in terms of I suspect a lot of people want to know about like the big 2/3, if you include Image. The thing that I've noticed, and this is really just kind of more subjective, I think, is that DC Comics really has their shit together, like just in terms of story, art, of vision for what they're trying to do. They are like every single month I just found myself being incredibly impressed with everything that they were pumping out, and with the team that they have kind of putting everything together. Not that Marvel isn't doing great things, but I feel like Marvel is getting its feet stuck in the mud sometimes, trying to make sure that it's what do you call it, trying to make sure that it's like hitting its 4 quadrants of bottom lines, include, comics, TV, movies, merchandise, and it feels to me like they're so preoccupied with making sure that all of that stuff kind of gets a little bit of attention in some way, that everything feels a little less I don't know, marvelous.
Unique.
So those were my observations for like the big 2 in terms of like the behind the scenes and inside baseball stuff. Something that I noticed, which is there's some stuff I can't talk about in terms of like seriously inside baseball, but the book industry as a whole is taking comic books more seriously now, and the biggest sort of reveal of that is the fact that the book industry is taking comic book distribution seriously now, and that was exciting, and it's really nice to kind of see the sea change that's happening overall when it comes to that kind of stuff, because it's giving comics more infrastructure and more just like a more robust just a more robust infrastructure to be able to get to more people.
Cool. So it seems as if, just backing up to your DC versus Marvel comparison, that
I'm not saying versus.
well, I'm saying versus. That despite DC seeming to have a lot of, tumultuous adventures with their parent company, that Marvel weirdly seems to be more corporate in terms of trying to hit things without rocking the boat.
Like I think Mickey is not taking enough chances when it comes to the comics. But I read a lot of really good, fun Marvel comics this year, but there just wasn't anything that I felt myself thinking like, oh my god, I can't wait to see the next issue next month, which I mean, it's not a bad, there was nothing that I was like, I'm not touching that again, but I found myself more and more picking up DC comics that I haven't really, like, characters I haven't really paid much attention to or cared much for in a long time, and I would read something and I'd be like, holy shit, like, when can I find out what happens? So I feel like DC is they're taking more chances on their creative teams than Marvel is.
Joe is one of the only people on the panel, I think, other than Jean, that's really into the new comics and the more recent stuff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I look, I'm a DC guy, although I do read Marvel as well, and there are certainly some comics that I was really enjoying. As you were talking, I was scanning through my the library online, because who needs physical comic? And no, I'm kidding. And like Thor was a really fun read for me this year. I like what they're, I like how they're actually evolving the characters. And then Hulk was really cool, although it got a little wacky. I tried getting into X-Men again, and I find myself getting lost.
So, okay, I will have to say I haven't gone near any X-Men at all since House of X, Powers of 10.
Okay.
Because I read that. I love Jonathan Hickman. And I read that and I got so excited for like kind of this new era of X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the excitement was like, okay, they're finally doing the thing that everybody's been asking for. They're cutting it down, bare bones. We're just getting X-Men. And then a parade of 10, 12 books over the next couple of months kept happening, and I'm like, wait a second, what is happening? They're doing it all over again. And from my friends that do regularly keep up with the X titles, it sounds like there's a lot of really fun, cool stuff happening in just this whole Krakoa era. I think I'm going to have to I don't know, not wait until it's over, but I think I'm just going to have to commit to just like, okay, I'm just going to read the X-Men, because I can't do, what was it? It was X-Force, Marauders, Excalibur.
There's just so many titles.
Yeah, there's
And
Just like
just
the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a
but it's
period.
it's now like
Yeah.
they brought all of that back.
Yeah, I mean they're cool, and I read all the little synopsis of the stories, and people have good things to say about it, but there's a lot to get through to really enjoy all that. So I can't commit to all that, like you said. But
How deep did you get into it?
when they started, so when they initially kind of restarted that line, I kind of jump in at those moments to see if I can get in. And I start going in, and then I start reading, and I'm like, did I miss something? Because I find myself lost between issues. And then I come to find out that, oh, well, this was kind of picked up over here in this issue. And I'm like, oh, I can't keep doing that. So I wasn't very far in, maybe 5, 6 issues in. And I'm like, dude, like I'm not really into this very far, and I shouldn't be feeling this way. It's like an episode of the Doom Patrol
level event. Yeah.
What? It's like episodes of the Doom Patrol. I find myself being lost 20 minutes in. But yeah, DC, I agree. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of stories. Dark. I get annoyed with all the various crisis after crisis events, but I do like Dark Crisis. It's fun because they're focusing on other characters that don't particularly always get a chance to shine, and I appreciate that.
I will admit I have not read any of the mega events from DC at all. I can't do it anymore. I just stay away from them, and then I get the Cliff's notes from somebody.
Yeah, that is a problem. I think there's too many of those events, but a DC person that I am, I'm compelled to read them. But I enjoy it. Look, DC is my jam. But I discovered lots of other comics this year, so I was enjoying those.
Yeah.
I mean, they did put a line in the sand when they put Final before Crisis. And then
they should go back and retitle them. It's so fun.
Not, yeah.
Well, it's like Ozzy Osbourne. This is my last tour.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again.
No, it's not.
So speaking of nostalgia and the 90s, which is a particular, bailiwick of ours, there was, on Marvel's side at least, quite a lot of nostalgia, let's say legacy sequel books out there. So one that we got excited about was Silver Surfer Reborn, Ron Mars and Ron Lim coming back together. There was J.M. DeMatteis's Ben Reilly Spider-Man. There was a new Fantastic Four, which Peter David was taking over from our friend Walt Simonson. Did you guys pick these up? Were these of any interest to everybody? And what did you think? Did they kind of hold up to the originals that started so many moons ago?
Well, as I was going to say, as the Marvel guy here, I picked up everything because I was just listening to what Jen said, and I said, it's like the opposite world. I must live in the parallel universe at our store over here in Newtown, because it's like we joke about how basically DC is just Batman comics.
That is okay. That is something that
I will count every week. I go in and I go, what are we up to this week? 7, 8, 12 boys? So if it's not a Batman miniseries or detective or Batman or a spinoff, it's Harley Quinn, it's a Riddler book, it's a Joker book. So it's like the entire Batman family just takes the entire top row week to week. So I'm like, oh, do they have anything else? And they're like, oh yeah, here's a Superman book now and then.
That is the thing that that's the sand in my shoe when it comes to DC, is that they seem to only be in the Batman business these days.
Because I went through my new books, because I go every Wednesday, and I'm like, wait a minute, what did I pick up this week when he was talking about? I'm like, well, here's a Harley Quinn, Batman and Spawn, because you had to, because they told you, and that was it. And then
Todd McFarlane is the Gene Simmons of the comic book world.
Yeah. And then last week I was like, I picked up this one. I think it was last week. I haven't read it yet. And then I heard that the Paul Dano Riddler series was good, so I got that one. But the rest of them are all Marvels.
Well, so
yeah,
my favorite thing that DC is doing, which also it doesn't involve Batman, is something I have to catch up on, is the Batman Superman World's Finest. Personally, to me, I think Tom Taylor should just write literally everything. He should write Marvel. He should write DC. I love that man.
Yeah, but that's what they do to their people. They burn them out, and then they're gone. And they did that with Snyder, and they did that with Tinian.
Yeah.
And now Tom's a new flavor of the month. And now I see that he's gone from writing about 6 books a month down to 2.
Yeah.
And now Mark Waid seems to be coming back up on the plate because it looks like they got plans for him. And it's a shame because they have these talented folks, but they bombard them with so much work that they burn out within like a year or two. They're done. And then they either go off to their own creator own stuff, or they don't do any more print.
It's kind of like the old Hollywood studio system.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they have their stable of actors and you know, artists and, you know, people like that. And until they all
Burn 'em
decide
out.
to band together and start United Artists.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But no, to the original question, yeah, I picked up a lot of the retro stuff because I tend to have most of those creators as guests at my shows because I grew up with the 80s and 90s guys. So it was fun to see everybody come back, you know, for a couple issues. You know, Dan Jurgens was working on some Spider-Man titles there. He brought Brett Breeding to do the artwork. And you mentioned Peter David. I'm trying to think. Claremont did something too. I'm trying to remember what that was. I could have swore he had a book, or maybe that was last year.
I feel like I keep seeing dance around Extreme X-Men in some sort of way.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was you're right. They brought back a bunch of creators. They even had Roy Thomas come back to do some fill-in. They had like a untold X-Men story. It was just like the greatest hits of the X-Men. And they had these creators.
X-Men Gold? No.
Or
no, I'm lying.
X-Men Legacy?
Legacy, that's it.
Yeah, because that's what's you know, our
Yeah.
most recent episode that came out with Will Spertasio. He's doing the upcoming 5 and 6.
Oh, you guys had him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Come
we
on,
ever?
You're not listening to every episode every time it comes out.
I must have missed that.
You're off the podcast.
I had COVID.
No, but the thing of it is, you know, instead of just a stunt gimmick thing, you know, they held up. I like the fact that they tried that stuff. The weirdest thing I noticed is DC's got a tribute to Stan Lee coming out next week because my friend Jerry Ordway just finished up the Justice League. Remember years ago they did What If Stan Lee Imagined the DC Universe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in honor of Stan's 100th birthday, they had all the creative teams come back and do like a one shot they're going to put out for his 100th birthday celebration. Marvel's not doing anything, which is really odd. But that's
really weird.
Right?
But,
I kept waiting for an announcement, and I'm like,
but I feel like that also kind of comes with having Mickey Mouse, you know, with his hand on the steering wheel.
Maybe.
Not that it gets in the way too much, but I feel like you were I think you were saying, Mike, there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of corporate synergy that kind of gets in the way of a lot of that stuff.
Maybe they didn't want to put all the stuff on his shoulders and go, oh, look what this one guy did, because then it almost opens the door to, well, we have to pay his daughter JC some more money then. You know?
Oh, that's
but
So yeah, our friend Wade is doing I think you mentioned, John, World's Finest.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting book. And I haven't been as up to date on, you know, newish comics, but I've been keeping up with that one, and it's interesting because it's not set in any one continuity. It's just sort of kind of taking the Platonic ideals of what Superman and what Batman is, and Robin and Supergirl, and just sort of having them on adventures.
Yeah, it's just
fun.
Like sometimes I really miss when comics were just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't all have to be one part of a much bigger storyline, just a fun story.
Which is I have to say exactly how I've been feeling about don't at me anybody, but about the MCU. Like I really would love it if maybe we get a Marvel movie that has literally nothing that touches on anything else coming out. Like just a movie that's a movie on its own.
Like a standalone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Christmas
got some
special.
shows like Ms. Marvel was as close to, well, I guess she had
not really.
Yeah. I guess
Well,
she had the Captain Marvel stuff, but
Moon Knight probably was the only one that really had nothing to do. And the Werewolf by Night one-off they did that was like you didn't have to know anything.
that's
about the
true.
movies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
and those were Moon Knight kind of arduous, but Werewolf by Night was entertaining.
Werewolf by Night was phenomenal.
One and done. Yeah, you could watch that.
Moon Knight, I wanted to like it. I enjoyed like kind of the first leg of it, but by the time I got to the end, I think their two biggest mistakes that they made were the Eternals should have been a TV show and Moon Knight should have been a movie.
I agree with that.
If they had just like do-si-doed those two things, they would have both been amazing.
Yeah, one episode for each Eternal, and then you bring them all together for a grand finale.
Exactly.
And that would have worked. In Moon Knight, cut a lot of that stuff out and just do a 2-hour crazy. What was that movie with Tom Cruise, Magnolia, where he didn't know what he was and everything was written on him and tattoos?
Oh, Memento.
Yeah, if you had done that, which I thought that's what they were doing with Moon Knight when it started, when he was, handcuffed or his foot were locked to the bed, so he didn't wander around. I was like, oh, this is great because he's got this flashback to a secret life. Yeah. But then they try to incorporate all the different variations of the Moon Knight character.
It just got to be too much.
It was too convoluted. It's like one story and just go with that one. Don't try to do Mr. Knight and this one and the Doug Munch. It was there was no way that was ever going to work.
No.
And if Eternals was a show, it would have been better because the fact that no one has addressed the fact there's a giant hand and a head popping out of the planet.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't have done that if it were a show.
It would have been maybe if they did, like it just wouldn't have, like if they don't address it, they're like, well, it's on a show, so we'll give some slack.
The only one to mention it was on She-Hulk. On the corner, they had a newspaper headline. And real quick, it says giant hand pops up in Indian Ocean. And that was the only time it's been referred to since it happened. I'm like,
see, and the thing that they could be doing, they could be having a lot of fun with that. Like you could have like random news reports where it's like Dan Bilzerian is renting out the big giant hand in the middle of the ocean. And like, just
the Liver King. It's a Liver King.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought for sure, I thought they were going to dovetail that right into Black Panther 2. Because you figured if this giant hand and body erupts from the ocean floor, it's probably going to destroy Atlantis or whatever they call it now. And I thought that was going to be like him trying to take revenge on the surface world because he thought they caused it to happen. But they didn't even, talk about that. So.
That makes too much sense.
Yeah, I know.
I thought that blown up hand from Spaceballs, remember when it was blown up at the end, would just come flying out and would just be like a cosmic high five with the partial born celestial.
No, I agree. This is the one thing that stood out this year. You ask about everything. This was the first time in my life, and I actually said that in a review that we did of one of the Marvel movies. I never thought I would say it. Because I grew up with the Hulk and those bad Captain America TV movies. And I never thought I'd say these words. I even watched Electric Company Spider-Man and thought that was great.
Yes.
And I said, I think there's just too much Marvel stuff going on. And everyone's like, what did you say? I go, yeah, I said it. Because it got diluted. It got too much. You didn't enjoy anything. And then, like you said, they were all trying to connect it and it didn't have to connect and it didn't need to. And I'm like,
and they were making so much of it at such a volume that if you look at the first like say 6 years of Marvel movies compared to the ones happening now and the ones they're making now, it all looks like it's green screen.
Yeah.
Whereas like those first 6 years felt really practical and tactile. And so now it feels like they're like, okay, just walk
Crank 'em
into the
out.
big room and say the
Yeah.
lines and then come
Yeah.
on out.
Well, they have
Yeah.
to justify the cost of that big dome that they use to shoot
Yeah,
everything.
Oh,
the
yeah. The
Like,
volume.
The volume,
yeah,
Infinite.
the volume.
Oh, the volume. Yeah. that's
yeah,
right.
even Star Wars is like that too. That Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It's like, did they
Ugh.
just film this in a guy's garage? Because it looked like, where's the space stuff? Where's the big sets from Star Wars? It's literally
They saved it for Andor.
Yeah.
they did. They actually went outside of a building.
Yeah.
Maybe it was COVID restrictions. I mean, they might have tried to do the best they could during the time they had.
Yeah.
So you were.
I think the COVID really had a big thing to do with that because everything was delayed for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they kept pushing it. And then, restrictions changed. And
Yeah.
then now they were like, okay, well, now we could start completing projects. And then I think there were budgetary concerns. So they're like, let's get this stuff going.
Yeah.
And now we're getting just bombarded by it. Now I think we're a little satiated with, Marvel stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
look, they keep making it. We're going to keep watching it, but
Yeah,
we need a moment to digest.
I'm never not going to give them my money.
No,
I
of
know.
course not.
Which makes all these conversations moot.
It really does. But
No, I know.
I just the excitement that I would get when like the trailer for the Winter Soldier came out, like as
Yeah.
opposed to the excitement I got watching the new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, it's finally coming.
Yeah.
They're in matching
Here it
uniforms.
comes.
well, there's
But no-
that. And then you wait
No.
like, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say a lot of it might have been like you have to plan these things out a year or two ahead of time, and they were, fortune tellers with a crystal ball. Maybe a lot of the stuff that were like, hey, this seemed too rushed and it didn't make much sense. And maybe they were building it for a COVID world because they didn't know what was going to happen. So they're like, you know what?
possibly.
A lot of these things might end up being just TV movies. So let's not go crazy building giant sets. And maybe we can't even have enough carpenters because of, union rules or something or health reasons. Maybe
Not
they
enough
can't.
lumber.
Yeah.
There was, you had all the whole production and supply problems going on. Just like when you go up the street and you can't get whatever at Home Depot because they're out of nails for a year or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure it affected everybody somewhere along the line. So
And it seems like less of an event now because you had to it's like back in the day when, movies came out, you had to wait like 2 years before it came out on VHS.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
now you just wait 45 days after the initial
much.
launch and
Yeah.
it's home.
Yeah.
Or like
Uh,
Black Adam was 30 days. I'm like, wait a second. I just
Yeah.
watched this with my kids.
I'll tell you, I think they shot themselves in the foot with the Batman by telling
Oof.
people when it was going to come out before it came out, because I remember buying the tickets a month before, getting ready to see it, and then they announced to all the stockholders because Warner Brothers was trying to make everybody happy with at the time AT&T. They said, "Oh, don't worry, it's coming out on April 15th or April 12th," before the movie actually came out. So then you're sitting there feeling like a sucker because you just spent all this money on a ticket and you're like,
Yeah.
wah. And I remember the guys at the comic store were like, "Oh, I'll just wait a month and see it at home. I'm not going to risk it," because it's
Yeah.
still kind of iffy going out there. But yeah, that didn't work out too well for them too. And you're right, Black Adam's on TV tomorrow, and I saw it at the premiere in New York with The Rock on October 8th or something like that. So,
I still haven't seen it because I've been waiting for it to premiere tomorrow.
Yeah.
Exactly my
Yeah.
excuse as well.
Yeah.
well, you want to talk about awkward. Jerry Ordway got invited because he worked on Shazam. So
Yeah.
it was me, Jim Lee. We're all at this premiere party and cocktail hour, and there's the actors and everything. And you're excited because even though Black Adam is probably the most obscure character next to like the Red Tornado, it's like, and then I'm listening to the Rock because he's doing the press what do you call red carpet, and I'm listening to him talk to
Are you
Entertainment
guys
Tonight.
ready for the change
Yeah.
in the hierarchy of
No.
power?
No, and he says,
How'd that go, by the way?
no, he says, I grew up with reading this character, and I'm like total nerd fanboy. I'm like, wait a minute. Way he grew up reading this, because Black Adam's second appearance was in whatever Shazam number 13 or whatever, and then he was on a Super Friends comic, and then he doesn't show up till the 80s. The Rock is 50 years old.
Yeah.
He's about my age. He could not have read the Black Adam as a kid because there was only 2 books that he was ever in. He didn't show up until like the mid 80s and then early 90s. I'm like, he was in his 20s or 30s by then. So yeah.
Better hope The Rock is not listening to this.
I said
No, and then he says, I've been working on this 16 years. And then you're like, okay, this has got to be good, right? And then the movie happens, and then the lights come up, and everyone's clapping. They're clapping for the key grip. They're clapping for the best boy. Anybody who had something to do, every name that came up, everyone's clapping. And I'm just sitting there, and Ordway's hitting me like this. He goes, what are you doing? Clap. I go, but the movie's not that good. He goes, yeah, but the stars are sitting all around us. And literally, the kid that's in the movie is sitting right next to me with his mother. And I'm like, and I kind of look over, and he's looking at me. I'm like, hey, way to go, buddy. But yeah.
There's a lot of standing up and a lot of serious looks.
So when the movie came out, and I had that moment of, I don't know, maybe I'll go see it tonight. And it was the first time that I was like, my gut is telling me I'm not gonna love this movie. So I actually Googled spoiler summary of Black Adam.
You were in a dark place.
And I was like, just tell me what happens in it. And I'm reading this thing, I'm like, this does not sound great. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Oh,
No.
Why would they do that? So now I'm just waiting to see all of it.
Well, you guys have sufficiently lowered my expectations that I'm gonna really rock this movie.
Well, if you never saw a superhero comic book movie ever, you'll like this movie.
Well, so like you said, he said that he's been working on this thing for 16 years, and it feels like
should have been the magic number 17.
Well, it seems like from the story that I read, it sounds like maybe there was a script treatment 16 years ago that just never got
updated,
updated or retooled or drafted again. And it's like, you can't do that, man. You can't just
not now. No, like I said, this story seemed like a retro superhero movie, like back when did Hancock come out, like in 2010 or something? That's what this movie seemed like. It seemed like a more serious version of Hancock, where you get this badass villain hero, anti-hero who doesn't take any shit from anybody and does what he wants. But you're like, okay, so am I supposed to root for this guy? I don't really know what to do. And that's the whole time you're in the movie. You're like, yay. Black Adam.
I feel bad because I feel like every time Pierce Brosnan ends up in something, I'm like, finally, Remington Steele is getting his due.
Yeah,
and it's always just like, oh, that
I did clap for him though, because I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And he was standing next to me in the lobby, and I did not recognize him because he doesn't look like Pierce Brosnan from the 90s with the black wavy hair. He looks like an older man with gray hair, nice looking, but he's standing there, and I go, who's this guy? I know this guy somewhere. And he walked away, and then we're in the theater, and The Rock introduces the cast. I go, oh, he was standing right next to me for 5 minutes, and I didn't say
freaking Remington Steele.
Yep. James Bond himself, who again never really had a decent James Bond script.
Yeah, he
finally looked the part.
Video game was better than the movie.
Well, he was supposed to be James Bond when Timothy Dalton became James Bond, and that was the reason why I always hated Timothy Dalton. Because I was like, you were like the runner-up because Pierce Brosnan had shitty bosses.
Yeah, NBC's like, we're not letting him go. Same thing with Tom Selleck. It's like, oh, you want to be Indiana Jones? Well, no, we've got this Magnum PI pilot. We're going to keep you here and screw George Lucas. Yeah.
Oops. The T-Dalt bashing end right there, please.
Hey, I loved him in The Rocketeer. He did a fine job in The Rocketeer.
I loved him in Hot Fuzz.
He's good. He's in Flash Gordon. He's on the Doom Patrol.
Oh, Timothy Flash Gordon, exactly.
Yes.
Timothy Dalton. I was thinking about him today. Literally, I was like, that's what I was thinking about when everyone was going on about Henry Cavill, because he only did 2 Superman movies, really, and James Bond was only 2 for Timothy Dalton. There's nothing wrong with Timothy Dalton. He's a very nice guy. He's a very talented actor.
Yeah.
However, he was never serviced by a good script, and the movies were never stellar. And you're just like, he could have been probably a great James Bond. He could have been a great Superman, but the movie itself was not the greatest of the stories. So
story should be king, and instead they never live by that.
Why is everyone getting so nuts about Cavill? I go, did you see Justice League? That movie sucked. And did you see Batman versus Superman? It sucked. Why are you getting so mad about this? It's not his fault, but he's never had a good Superman movie. So
I'm actually more pissed now that like all the shenanigans about him being Superman has now killed my final season of The Witcher.
Oh yeah. Well, somebody said, they screwed him over because he quit that job because he thought he was going to be a Superman. I go, hey, he could be the new James Bond. And everyone's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. That's open it too, isn't it? I'm like, I think he'd be better off as James Bond.
Not Aaron Taylor Johnson, Thomas, whatever his name is.
I did like him in what was the
Sherlock Holmes?
Mission Impossible.
No. Well, actually, he was good in Mission Impossible. But what was the Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Oh,
he was good in that. Yeah,
that was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's good as Sherlock Holmes in that Enola Holmes show.
I still haven't watched those yet.
They're fun, and he's good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think they thought that Cavill. I think the disappointment comes in not that people thought that Cavill would be in a new Justice League or Snyder style movie. It's that they recognize that he could be a good Superman if he got a good script, and so they were everybody was
but the same
hope
thing
against
said
hope
about
that it was going to happen.
Brandon Routh, like when that movie came out,
I thought he
was good. Yeah,
love that kid. Like he was the perfect Superman in the shittiest movie.
Oh God, yeah.
He was.
Oh my God,
he was a better Superman in the Crisis TV show.
Yes.
Right.
Because
everyone's
Superman.
Like,
I got goosebumps seeing Kingdom Come Superman come to life.
Oh yeah,
as Brandon Routh, and I was like,
oh my God. Well, you want to get mad about that? Before COVID ruined a lot of stuff, obviously, but there was going to be 2 Superman shows on the CW. 10 episodes was going to be with Hawk. What's his name?
Oh,
Tyler Hoechlin.
Tyler Hoechlin, whatever. He was going to be one, and then the other Superman was going to be the one that Brandon Routh played with the black S on his chest that took place in the other universe. And that was what Mark Guggenheim was proposing to do, because I was going to book guests for the show, and everyone's like, oh, you want to book Brandon Routh in 2020 because they're going to announce they're going to do a second Superman show that parallels the adventures of older Superman from like the Kingdom Come universe. And I'm like, yes. And then what happened?
WTF.
Yeah, COVID wiped out all the productions, and then everything got pushed back, and people had to move on to other shows, and that was scrapped, and they just focused on Superman and Lois and never went back to that
show. Makes my eyes hurt.
Yeah, it started off okay, and then
I thought some people liked it.
I kept up with it for the first for the first season. I watched the first season, and a lot of it was hate watching because I just kept. I mean, why do they have 2 sons?
Oh, because it's a CW. They need that teen angst audience.
But why can't it just be Jonathan Kent? And then, hey, look, there's his best friend, Damian Wayne. Like you have all of these things.
That's a show.
Everybody's already made.
Oh my God, you could do the Super Sons. You could have done that. I would have watched that.
Super Sons would have been such a good show.
Why are you in a
and there still would have been 2
Go
sons.
to Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what would have been another good one is, did you ever watch Titans?
Yeah.
The Connor Kent in Crypto was the best thing on that show. I go, why isn't he got his own show? Because the actor who plays him and the dog, you can't go wrong with the dog. I'm like, I'd watch this Superboy show all day if they.
I'd watch a show just about crypto.
Those characters are assholes. I'm sorry.
They are, but that one guy was cool.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, and that fucking show. Sorry.
Yeah.
It
No.
just pisses me off. And
Yep.
You know what?
Orin's just laughing at me.
I'm
'cause
sorry,
No,
Orin.
no,
Like,
no.
it just angers me to death
Yes.
because like these are not how these characters are they're not supposed to be dicks like this to everyone.
But the key element missing from the show is right from the beginning. They cut the word off. Teen
Yeah.
Titans. Yeah.
Titans.
No, they're not teens. They're all 20 something, whatever. And they're all got bad attitudes.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. And then season 3, I watched season 1. I gave up on season 2. I came back for season 3 because we were all locked down. We had nothing to watch, but they had Bruce Wayne came on. And I was like, oh my God. And they did the Jason Todd story. I go, this might be good. And then it quickly went right into the toilet.
But my question is,
That is not.
why is Bruce Wayne 78 years old?
Yeah.
And and
And
also
Robin's like
blonde.
20. Yeah.
the least formidable looking man that you could ever possibly
Well,
think of.
somebody said, oh, he was playing old Adam West. I said, dude, old Adam West, before he passed away, could have kicked this guy's ass. And that's even when he had the leukemia and he was sick. He still could have beat this guy up because
Come on, old chum. We're going to go fight some criminals.
this guy looked like he should be like in line at a DMV complaining about how long
He looked
it's
like
taking.
he should have been Alfred.
Yeah. Yes. He would have been
Yes.
a great Alfred.
Right.
I just fought
I
a
don't-
dragon, but I'm gonna be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
That was
By the way, there was a crypto movie this year. In case, lest we forget,
I did
I saw
watch
it.
it.
League
I
of
watched
Super-
it.
I
Yeah,
watched
it's-
it numerous
was fun.
times.
It
It was
was
very
really
fun.
fun.
It was, yeah.
And the friggin' Black Adam was in that too.
I was
I
going to
know,
say a
the-
more
the
successful
Rock.
rock
I-
vehicle.
Like,
Yeah.
I gotta say, better movie that for
Yeah.
him.
Give the Rock super dog or
But
crypto.
but that's something else that like really I didn't understand about it. And maybe it's just like maybe there's a part of the Rock that's like he wants to like break the mold of who he is. But every movie he's in, he's like
The same.
charming, jovial,
he's the
like
same guy. Yeah.
yeah, and Black Adam is the complete polar opposite of
No.
everything.
What they do is they make him like the Terminator 2. They make him the Arnold Schwarzenegger cold killer, and then they try to make him human. They humanize him because he has the young teenage kid that teaches
Yeah.
him catchphrases and a sense of humor. So by the end of the movie, when we transition Black Adam into a hero, we're supposed to say, "Oh, look, he's one of us now." It doesn't work because he's been so badass for the first 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it was. You can't just like throw a switch in the last 10 minutes, go,
Yeah.
oh, look, he's a fun guy now. You're like, dude was throwing guys 2 miles away and watching them splatter into the ground and murder and setting people on fire with I don't know when Shazam or Captain Marvel got laser beam eyes, but he was incinerating people and grabbing guys and turning them into skulls and just dissolving their bodies. I'm like, this is not a good guy. This is like a serial killer.
Spoilers, please.
Oh, please. I'm doing you the favor. Trust me.
I don't know
That'll be
what they
2
took
hours of your life you'll get back. Don't watch this movie.
in that whole scene of him sitting in the throne, which
Oh,
it was first of all, I mean, that's a scene that is pulled from the cover of a comic.
Yeah,
It's
Joe
a-
Jusko. Yeah,
It's a
Joe Jusko.
big deal in the comic book world. They use it as promotional material. And then in the movie, it's a throwaway scene because he sits there for a second. He's like looking formidable and like a badass in this throne.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't like it. And then just destroys the throne. I'm like, so
Yeah.
why did
Weird.
you
Why?
put this on your poster for like 6 months?
Because it looked cool. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Every
like
mo-
it doesn't.
Everything about this movie, my buddy Ordway said, was like a wrestling match. It was a lot of music. It was a lot of sound. It was a lot of like, revving the crowds up. But at the end of the day, you're like, oh, there's really nothing different about this. It's just
There wasn't anything to it at all.
no.
And I love The Rock, and I wanted to like
Me
it.
too.
Yeah, Hawkman shows up. You're like, wait a minute. Why is Hawkman? Dr. Fate, they can't beat this guy? Where's the Justice League, by the way? If this is all in the same universe,
Mhm.
where are they at? Well, they're
Yeah,
over
that's
on-
the other thing.
they're in
Superman shows up
Peacemaker.
at the end
Yeah, where was he for the first couple weeks or however long this took place? You know,
Well,
hell, they
but
showed
that's
up.
that's a common thing. That's like any superhero movie. It's like, where is
Yeah,
the more
well,
superpowered thing
yeah.
that's
They
in this
sh-
universe? Why
they-
isn't
they
he
sh-
stopping it? Or
They
she?
showed up. They showed up at the end of Peacemaker. They had a cameo off screen. They had
That was
Aquaman show
hilarious.
up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you're like,
Yeah.
well, why don't they show up at a bigger threat like Black Adam? You know?
I also don't understand why, like Dr. Fate, very cool. Hawkman, awesome. The
Yeah,
Justice Society, like of all
No.
the other members that they could have chose, like
Adam
There's only-
Smasher.
why didn't we get Alan Scott? Like, if we're not
I
getting
don't
an
know.
actual Green Lantern movie, can we at least get Alan Scott in there?
And, then we
Or-
got and
like-
Cyclone. I'm like, huh? What?
yeah, yeah.
Who is this now? You know?
Or Red
It's just-
Tornado, like the regular Red Tornado. Whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's her grandmother. That's in the scene. It says
Yeah.
my uncle. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, this is sounding more and more like I should
Yeah.
watch this.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I don't care if it's free tomorrow. Go watch something else. You know?
That's what I did with Morbius. I chose
No
I
Day
watched-
comes
Oh,
out tomorrow.
no.
I watched.
don't.
I watched.
That's not a movie.
Oh, it's morbing time.
I watched.
God.
I watched 8
Ugh.
minutes of it, and then I was
Yeah.
like, "Nope, can't do it."
F
Nope,
that movie.
I saw that in a movie theater, so we were like,
Oh no!
what the hell was that? You know?
And that after credits doesn't make any sense.
No, completely. Like, wait, what universe are they in now? I don't know.
Yeah. But like if he's in, I don't get it, because why is Vulture pulled here, but he
Right.
never goes back?
Yeah.
And why does Morbius have a beef with Spider-Man?
Because it's Mormon
And-
time.
It's
No,
Morbin time.
And if they mention Venom, so Venom is in that movie, but Venom has no recollection of who Spider-Man is. So how could they have a team up against Spider-Man if he's not there? Because Venom doesn't
don't
know
know.
who he is. My head, it hurts. It hurts really bad when I
Did
think
you
Because
guys
so-
see that there's a
because Sony
hand
need-
sticking out of the earth?
Not in that universe, apparently. Hey, since
never
we're
know.
talking about Morbin time, and
Yeah.
we have Mitch here now, was your world shaken by the loss of Jason David Frank?
honestly, he was never at my show. I never offered to invite him as a guest. And I'm too old for the Morphin Power Rangers. So I
Fair
never
enough.
had
Because I know
anything.
he's always going, or was always going
he,
to.
he was on the
those
con
shows.
circuit, absolutely, yeah, but I never had him as a guest at my show. But yeah, no, I mean, terrible loss to anybody that loses, passes away through suicide and stuff. So it's one of those things you sit there, because I've seen him obviously at other conventions, and all those convention promoters talk to each other. From what I gather, you never know what's going on in someone's personal life, but everyone's like happy guy, good looking guy, successful. All the fans loved him, and it's just like somehow there was a loneliness in there that you couldn't touch, and it destroyed him. But yeah, it was a complete shock. I'm sorry for all the fans. I've seen so many attendees that come to my show. I see them at comic shops just still really taken back by this, because they grew up with him. He was
Well,
a big hero.
the only time I ever saw him was years ago. I forgot what convention. I was at a convention. He was at a table, and always thought it was like impressive that like you've got this dude who was in the show who's he's like no longer like a cast member in any of the new shows,
Mhm.
but you still have like he had all the older people that grew up with him, and then you still had like younger kids that were like really excited to meet him too, because they loved his character. So like it wasn't like he was the just kind of the aging has-been who's like, oh, it's that old lady again coming to see me because she's the only one that pays for my stuff. Like, he had like a ton of people. Like,
I'll
young
tell
and
you,
old.
the
Well, he
only
was-
one that go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, he was, I would say, one of the people that kept that show like in the public eye of those fans.
Yeah.
Because the show always kind of moved on and evolved to like next group. He was in 5 of those versions of the show as different Power Rangers, but he was always like always not bringing it up, but always kind of,
Keeping it alive. Yeah.
definitely keeping it alive. And then he did a bunch of like fan films like that. Ever see Bat in the Sun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he like they make amazing like shorts, and he's friends or was friends with that guy who creates those, and they made a bunch of like side Power Ranger like films, and he was in them. So he's
cool.
always kind of singing the praises of Power Rangers because like propelled his career obviously.
Yeah. I was gonna say the only person I could think of that had such an impact that lost this year was Kevin Conroy.
Oh man, dude.
Who was at my sadly Terrificon. We were the last
only
show.
time I got to meet him was going to your convention just this past year.
Yeah, and that was yeah, I mean, he was at the first time I did my show at Mohegan Sun, and he's from Connecticut. He grew up in Westport, so I called him up, and literally, here's how it works. I have to go through agents, I have to go through booking agents, and you have to sign contracts, and I need, green M&Ms in my trailer, and I want this much money, and I need a private jet. I mean, it's all crazy. But Kevin Conroy picks up the phone, answers his own email. Oh, hey, I'll just take the train in. Literally just hopped the Metro North train ride, which is like $60 round trip. Took it from New York City, got here. My friends picked him up in their pickup truck. He was like, no problem. He doesn't need a limo. Came in, entertained people for days, and then just walked out, got in the car, and drove back to New York. Nicest guy, no airs about him, would talk to anybody, was amazed that people were so enthralled with his performance as Batman on this cartoon show 30 years ago, and he still did it. And when he passed away this year, oh my God, I still feel it because everyone was so sad that he was
every single time somebody posts about him, like I feel it happening again, and I'm like, I just listened to a podcast, Will Friedle and I always forget her name. Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible have their own.
That's bloody hell.
What's her name? Damn it. But it's a podcast all about voice actors.
Yes.
And so when Kevin passed away, they replayed like an encore episode of when he was on, because he was Will Friedle's mentor, because he was Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond.
Yep.
And just within 2 minutes of listening to this thing, I'm like,
oh, I know.
It is it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how sick he was when he showed up to the show. He didn't look well. And I was like, are you okay? He's like, I'm just very tired. And he kept taking a lot of breaks because the last time he was there, he was on the whole time. He jumped up on the table. He did, I'm the knight, I'm, vengeance, I'm Batman. This time it, a lot of wind was taken out of his sails, and he kept going behind the curtain, and there's some chairs in the back, and he would just take a quick nap, for about 15, 20 minutes. And I said, are you all right? He's like, yeah, I just don't feel well. I'm just really, really tired. And that was in July 31st. And then I talked to some booking agent. They said, oh, you didn't hear about Kevin? I said, no, what happened? They go, oh, he's not doing well. After your show, he had to go to the hospital, and they ran a bunch of tests on him, and he's sick. I'm like, oh, okay. And I had heard he was just getting better. Like the week before he passed away, he was seen around New York walking with a cane, very weak, but his health was improving. And then it just took a turn for the worst, and he was gone in like days from cancer. But
I'm glad I got to see that panel. Like I think I remember telling you, Warren, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we only came here for a day, and I spent like a couple of hours just sitting in a panel room. But I really I needed to see like all of them. I needed to see and listen to the Justice League talk.
Oh, wow.
And so like after that, I was like, oh man, and we didn't go back for Sunday. And then this happened, and I was like, oh, like I at least got to see him and like kind of hear his stories, and it's heartbreaking.
In 2020, again, one of the I'll always go back to that. I actually had the full Justice League cast booked.
Oh,
even Carl Lumley who never does shows, who is the Martian Manhunter,
Yeah.
was coming to the show. Because Phil Lamar convinced
Oh,
him to
wait.
come to Terrificon.
You said 2020.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah, I had everybody lined up. It was all, we were working it out. I had Shazam, not Shazam. I had Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah, Michael
who was a
Rosenbaum.
Flash.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming, even Carl Lumley. And then
Oh.
we had to shut the whole show down because of COVID. But boy, oh boy, that would have been something. But I'm glad we did get a chance to get him, and Tim Daly.
Tim Daly
was the
Oh.
first time they were ever together too. And on Sunday, I'm in the photo op room and Tim Daly's talking to Kevin, and Tim Daly never did a convention before, didn't know what to expect. He was very nervous about coming out and meeting folks for doing the Superman cartoon. And all he was telling Kevin Conroy was like, I can't believe this. It's so much fun. These people are so nice. They just want to thank you. They just want to talk to you. And Conroy goes, isn't it something? It's amazing. He goes, it's a very humbling experience. You don't realize how much you've affected these people by just doing a simple voice on a cartoon show. And Tim Daly was like, I never knew it was like this. I never knew what to expect.
the two of them,
Yeah.
they are, I say it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't care about like whether it's live action or cartoon. They are the definitive Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
Like nobody has been able to get that like the character the way that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a segue into what we were going to try to get to, but it's sort of a sad segue, which was the sheer number and quality of comic creators we lost in 2022.
Oh God,
I'm going to give kind of a shortened list, but there's more than this. There's Brian Augustin, who was an editor at DC, did Gotham by Gaslight, one of the first Elseworlds.
Yep.
Tom Veitch, I think is how you
Veitch.
pronounce his name. Veitch.
Beach,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Writer on Animal Man. We know there was Neil Adams, of course. We did an episode for Neil Adams, George Perez, and
Tim Sale.
Tim
Tim
Sale.
Sale.
Yep.
And then more recently, there's Alan Grant, writer Tom Palmer, legendary inker. This person that I'm not too familiar with his work, but caused a lot of ripples. Kim Jung-ji, South Korean illustrator.
Yeah.
And then very recently, around the time of Kevin Conroy, was Kevin O'Neill, the artist behind League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and Carlos Pacheco.
Carlos.
Avengers Forever, and so many Marvel books. It was a real
not a comic
bad year
creator,
in that sense.
not a writer or artist, but somebody else was Pat McCallum, who so for me personally, Pat McCallum, for anybody that doesn't know, was part of the Wizard magazine / Wizard conventions kind of team. But before all that, when I was growing up, I had two comic shops that I grew up with in Nanuet, and one of them was Wizard World of Cards and Comics, and Pat was friend of the family that owned that and worked behind the counter at the comic shop, and he was my my John Cusack at the comic shop essentially. And he passed away this year, which like came out of nowhere and was really just a little devastating for me, unexpectedly devastating.
I say this to everybody when they come to the show, fans of the comic creators. I go, listen, I know you grew up reading these guys. I know they're just names on a piece of paper that you never met flesh and blood, but even if you don't buy anything, even if you don't get an autograph or a sketch or whatever, why don't you just take 2 seconds of your time and just walk by their table and just say thank you. That's it. Just say thank you. It's not going to cost you anything. Because if you enjoyed any of their work at all for, one issue or a whole run or whatever it is, or a pinup or something, these guys don't hear it enough. And I don't think they realize a lot of times how much impact they've had on people. And some of these guys have been doing it for decades, and they changed a whole bunch of how many movie directors and producers and all that stuff and actors were inspired by some story that they read in a comic book or whatever. See, these guys never get their due, and that's why I always try to emphasize that at Terrificon. It's not about coming to meet movie actors or wrestlers or all that other stuff. It's about celebrating the artists and the writers and even the editors who put all these books together, because without them, we wouldn't be talking about how bad Black Adam was or how good one of these other movies were or TV shows or anything like that. So
that was one of the reasons why, actually, that was the number one reason why I enjoyed Terrificon so much. Like, after being away from conventions for so long, one of the reasons that I stopped going to New York Comic Con and so many of the other ones was because it kind of just turned into corporate showcases for these big tent poles that they have coming out, and all the TV shows and stuff. And this was the first time in 30 some odd years that I've been to a convention and I was like, oh, this is actually a comic book convention.
Right.
Holy shit.
What an amazing idea that is, huh? Comic books at a comic book show.
After we walked in there, I feel like Oren and I kept saying, I was like, I kind of wish that we had stayed for 2 days. One day was not enough.
No. Well, thank you for that. I gotta say, it pays it helps me buy all this junk behind me. But if you want to see more Kevin Conroy interviews, just go on to YouTube and look up Terrificon 2015. And he does a whole interview with Mike Carlin, who was a writer and editor, at DC. But then he went on to Hollywood to work on all the animated DC cartoons. So they do a whole hour about what it's like to be a voiceover actor on Batman and stuff.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Check that out. Yeah.
On that the Kim Possible podcast. I did. So when he was in Juilliard, his roommate was Robin frickin' Williams.
And
Christopher
Reeve.
Yes, Christopher Reeve. Yes.
Yeah. I know.
Insane.
How nuts is that? You had Popeye, Superman, and Batman all together. Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like we totally derailed.
Absolutely not. This is why we're here.
In fact, go ahead, Mitch.
No, I was just looking at your list. It's like best comic movie. Well, there wasn't any this year.
Yeah.
Best comic show. I'd say Ms. Marvel was good, and the Werewolf by Night, probably the best.
Actually, so for me, best comic book show, Sandman.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Good.
It
but
was.
I think it's going to get better.
Oh, it's definitely going to get better. But I was just from the first photos and the first footage we got, I was like, oh, I think this might be good. And I had confidence because after watching what Neil was able to do with Good Omens, I was like, okay, he got his feet wet on that. And it seems like he really just let loose on this. And by the time the show hit, it was better than I thought it was going to be. So it's before Sandman came out, my top was and I know technically it is a comic book because they do have comics, but the Legend of Vox Machina, the Critical Role animated series.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite above everything else. I loved She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Peacemaker, all of it. But Vox Machina, I found myself watching it multiple times, which I didn't really do with the other things. And then Sandman hit, and all bets were off.
Sandman was very good. It was the only one of those series or shows where I was feeling emotions.
Yeah,
especially in the death episode.
Oh yeah. God,
I was like, oh my God, this is.
My wife's looking at me like, what's
wrong with you?
Yeah, no.
So
are you not seeing what I'm looking at?
I convinced my wife to watch Sandman, and she's like, I don't know, would I like it? I'm like, I think you're gonna like this. And she's watching it, and every time we watch an episode, she's like, we can't do more than one episode a night.
Yeah,
Like,
it's too much.
too heavy.
I convinced my wife to watch Sandman and had the same exact stipulation placed upon us.
So, but we
Too
get
intense.
to the episode before The Sound of Her Wings, and we watch that one. And then I was like, look, this next episode is so good. And it's like such a like feel good, heartwarming episode. I was like, let's just watch it. And we're watching this episode. And she keeps looking over at me. And it's like the whole episode is just people dying. And then you get to the episode, the part with the baby.
Jesus Christ.
She's like, what? Like, I thought you said this was a good one. And then we finally you get to the end, and he's like, somebody once told me you're not supposed to keep your friends waiting. And like, you just lose it. And I thought it was like the most heartwarming thing ever. And she's like, we have very different ideas of what heartwarming is.
Did anyone watch Jupiter's Legacy?
Oh yeah, that was the one they canceled after the first.
Yeah.
I
tried.
The fight scene was amazing. It was better than any of the Justice League or Avengers, where they had the big battle with the guy. But then it just kind of, I don't know.
Howard Mackey kept telling me, he's like, I love this show. You got to watch it. Yeah. And I try the wig. I can't watch a show when the wig budget is like $25. Like it just did not look good. And so I couldn't get it past any. And
we know from wig budgets, at least this side of the
exactly.
I had just finished the series of comics, and I was really into it. And then I started watching the show, and I really wanted it to become something more. Like it was on like it feels like it was one of those shows that like if it was like if it got like the second season, it may find its course and really kind of catch its stride and take off. But it didn't do that.
No.
The person I feel bad for, I mean, not that I should feel bad for him. He has an amazing career, and I'm sure he's an extremely happy man. But Brian K. Vaughan, I, for years, like all the starts and stops of Why the Last Man it's gonna be a movie. It's gonna be a show. It's gonna be a movie. And then it finally becomes a show. And the main character is just awful. Like the actor that they got to play him is just awful. And I feel like that was the main reason why that show got canceled, because you can't have that character be unwatchable. So like you get that show canceled, but then he gets Paper Girls, and it's like, oh, okay, he's got another shot.
And that gets canceled. Like I feel like Hollywood's not gonna be giving Brian K. Vaughan stories a chance. Do you think if they went to a simple anthology show like The Phantom Stranger, or something that doesn't rely on a lot of effects or makeup, that they could probably do longer seasons, maybe other than 5 episodes, maybe do like a Twilight Zone type of thing? Because I keep looking at going, they do so much money, they spend so much money on these shows, and then they end up getting canceled because the Sandman, there was all that talk that it wasn't going to get a second season because it was one of the most expensive, next to Jupiter. That was the most expensive thing Netflix ever did, because they put so much money into these things that I don't know how exactly they translate viewers to dollars, and it's a whole Hollywood math accounting you'll never know about. But I don't know. It seems if I was a studio, I would be looking for smaller projects that I could do that I don't have to rely upon, because I saw Disney Plus was losing money, and I'm like, well, of course they're losing money. You can't get Mark Ruffalo, Ewan McGregor, all these big name actors to do TV shows, because they're going to want their big screen salaries. They're not going to take a pay cut just because it's on
Yeah, but then
Disney Plus.
then
know?
you got Amazon spending how many billions of dollars to make the Rings of Power TV show?
Oh yeah, I forgot there was that stuff too. There was Rings of
Like,
Power, and then
they're
the
ma-
other one,
They're spending
Uh,
so much money on this stuff.
House
and
of
it's like
Dragon.
House of
House of the
Dragon.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Disney's got the Willow, which is like the PG version of Magic stuff, which
Yeah.
is a slog to watch that thing.
Oh God. I can't like
Yeah.
it's
But they
Like that-
canceled Lovecraft Country.
oh
Which was a good show.
Dude,
Yeah,
so good.
Love that show.
I know. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that so yeah, Disney Plus is like kind of like it's making its missteps and stuff. But I feel like maybe they could be starting a trend with their special presentations because
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night and the Guardians holiday
Special. Yeah.
were so good that maybe networks will start taking that chance again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they need to just pump the brakes a little.
Yeah.
Slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
Right. Let's produce something that is, like you said, not so effects heavy. Something
Yeah.
where the story is really driving it. Effects are fine, but if you're beating them, it's like, we're going to end up getting Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's all effects and
But
no
if-
one cares.
But if they do
Maybe.
stuff,
Yeah.
oh, what were we gonna say, Mitch?
No, I said maybe that's why the plan is to do Daredevil as an 18 episode series. That's a street level guy, no big special effects,
Yeah.
and focus more on the characters of Matt Murdock and the Kingpin and just drag it out as opposed to let's
Yeah.
blow all this money on big actors and we got nothing,
Yeah.
But anyway.
I feel like that's a little too like my biggest gripe with the Disney Plus shows is that they're too short. So
Really?
you always get 3 amazing episodes. The first 3 episodes,
Yeah.
incredible. Everybody's super excited.
And then it
Then-
drags.
Then
Yeah.
you get like kind of a squishy little middle where you're like, okay, where's this going?
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the last 2 episodes, they are like
Jam packed.
great train running through like plot points and this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap, like Miss Marvel was going to be my favorite TV show
Until the
and-
end.
until the end.
Yeah.
Like instead of 6 episodes, if you give us like 9 or 10 just
Right.
solid episodes, then
Right.
you can tell a good story.
I actually learned something from that series.
That's what
Oh,
I
you did?
said too.
Yes.
No,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
right. No, it was like watching a PBS
Yeah.
superhero show
Yeah.
because you had the whole Pakistani. I didn't know.
Yeah, with
that
the partition and
the
everything.
part.
like
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And then I was like watching inside a mosque, and I didn't know they had a wall. I grew up Catholic boy, so I didn't know there's a separation between the men and the women. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh wow, I didn't know they do that, and you had to do this and that. I'm like, wow, I'm actually learning something
Yeah.
about a Muslim family, which I didn't know anything about. I'm
With-
like, well,
without it
good for
being
you,
like
Disney.
forced down your throat too. It's
Right,
like,
yes,
it's like
yeah.
it's just part of the landscape.
Right, right. But it was like fun. And then you said towards the end, they suddenly got this whole thing with the genies and then the
Yeah.
other dimension. And I'm like, wait, what? You lost me. What happened? We were on a nice path
Yeah.
here. She was
Yeah.
learning
Yeah.
her superpowers. And then it turned into I don't know what. And I still really don't know what happened
All
in the
they
last
needed was like
episode. Yeah.
2 more episodes is
Yeah.
all they needed to do to like really kind of just pace it out a little
Right.
bit.
And
She went
then
back. Yeah, she went back in time. She met her.
Oh my
grandmother.
God.
She was on the train. I'm like, what is happening here? What's going on? And then it's over. I'm like,
and then they
Oh.
shoehorn in
Yeah.
something. There's a mutation.
and then Brie Larson showed up. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what happened now?
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah.
Listen,
Which,
when you have Jersey
so-
City as a backdrop, you keep them in Jersey City.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're going any other place.
For the longest time, I had the wrong impression of what Brie Larson's cameo was.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I was like, oh, so just in the last episode, they randomly give her like one of her other powers. I thought it was her like her morphing powers of like she like suddenly
Oh.
just turned in like turned herself into
Ms.
like
Marvel.
looking like Captain Marvel. And
Yeah.
then I think I was listening to like Nerdist or something like that. And then they were talking about like the nega bands, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that explains that.
yeah.
So before we kind of wrap this up, I will say I read somewhere, and if anyone knows anything that's different than this, or if I'm complete BSing what I read, but apparently if you can pull parallels between the 10 Rings and her bands, Captain, Ms. Marvel's bands,
Oh, and
then
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi, as well as stuff that's going to be happening in Quantum Mania, because there's a lot of the similar symbolism and shapes, with the circles and
Kang's
stuff.
The hexagon,
citadel
yeah.
with like
Yeah.
the rings that are going around.
Yeah.
And Morbius, right?
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Morbius.
Just want to make sure he's
Just all bring it
still
back
hanging
together.
around there.
So anyway,
Wow.
that's what I heard, but
That
Well,
that would be very cool.
Everyone was so mad. They go, "Oh, the Phase 4, there was no coherent storyline." And then it dawned on me the other day. I was at the comic store. I go, "Wait a minute, how come I didn't see this before?" You have to stand back and be. Phase 4 was all about introducing like the next generation
Yeah.
of the Marvel
Yeah.
here. I'm like, why doesn't anybody else see this? I'm like, you
Because-
had Ironheart in Black Panther 2. You had Shuri becoming the new Black Panther. You had America Chavez in Doctor Strange. All the
Yep.
even Thor had, Lady Thor or the Mighty Thor, whatever they called her in the movie, even though it didn't work out. Everything was all about.
You
the
also have
heroes.
Star from
Star was in the Hulk or
in
She-Hulk.
and
Yeah.
then Patriot in
Patriot,
Falcon.
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's right there in front of you. I mean,
Everybody's distracted by
Hawkeye.
the well,
Yeah.
everybody's distracted by the fact that they're like, where's Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah.
Where's like Thanos? Where's the big villain that's connecting all these together? I go, no, they're not doing it this time. They're doing all these subtle. I thought it made sense at the end. I go, yeah.
Look, it's going to come together in some fashion.
Oh yeah.
It was so obvious the first time around. Okay, here's Iron Man, here's Thor.
Yeah, they're
here's
doing the
Captain America.
Avengers.
Yeah.
We know this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, he mentions the Avengers Initiative. So, okay, we know what's going to happen. All right, well,
Right.
that happened. So, where do we go from here? We have to approach this differently. But at some point, and we've seen the schedule for the next, 8-9 years. So we know stuff is going to happen. So, they're taking a different path towards getting there. So it's going to, I'm sure, like when we see Quantumania or something, there's going to be some switch. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
hopefully there will be something mentioned about Latveria, because I thought it was coming in Black Panther.
I did too. Yeah.
I was like in that UN scene with Angela Bassett, where I'm like, give me more Angela Bassett.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
I was I want, like, they keep panning around the room and I'm looking at every nameplate. I'm like, please say Latveria somewhere.
Yeah.
And nothing.
well, they mentioned what's his name? Where the hell in Captain America and Winter Soldier?
Baron Zemo?
Not Baron Zemo, but where God damn it, where Wolverine, Madripoor, yes,
Madripoor. Yeah, they went to Madripoor. Yeah.
But so in, and this is like a very far stretch, because I've been like, aside from Namor, I've been waiting on Doctor Doom for so goddamn long. But in Moon Knight, there's the episode where Steven wakes up like in the Alps in that town. They never tell you what the name of that town is, but he looks up, there's a freaking castle on a hill.
Yeah.
There's like really weird culty kind of, villagers around. Like, it's possible that could be Latveria.
Yeah.
It's I'm just hoping.
It's possible the entire MCU has been Doombots this entire time. And it all will be revealed.
Before you wrap, was there any surprises at all this year in any of these movies, or you kind of knew what was going to happen before you saw the film?
I don't recall
After
any.
this discussion, no more surprises for me.
I will say
No.
I was
Black Adam.
surprised at the end with Thor: Love and Thunder. It was like it was a cute surprise when they wrap it up and it's like, oh, Thor's got his daughter, and then they tell you why it's called Thor: Love and Thunder, and I was like, oh, that's cute. I didn't see that coming.
Oh, what
That
about
was-
no spoilers, but what about the end of Black Panther 2?
I didn't see. it.
Oh, so that one
Yeah,
okay. The night that I'm going to see that movie,
yeah,
opening night,
yeah.
I
I
get
saw it
a
open tonight.
I get a text an hour before I go to the movie.
No,
It's my
Foreign.
sister, and she's like, "Oh, look at how cool!" Because they so this isn't really a spoiler.
yeah,
My family and I are Haitian, and she's like, "Look at this tweet. Apparently, like they're Haiti, ends up in Black Panther." And I'm reading this tweet, and that spoiler is the tweet, and I was like,
well,
and
no.
she's like, "Oh, I thought that you saw it already." And I'm like,
No.
"It just opened."
If she left it at the mid part of the movie where they go to Haiti, that would have been fine.
Yeah,
She
but
didn't
nope,
have to tell you about the after credit scene where
the text that she sent me, the tweet that she sent me was exactly that. Like,
Oh, she just spells it out like, oh, when
Yeah.
they're on the no.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I was
but-
like, oh.
well,
So when it happened, I was like, oh, I know what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
No emotional punch for me at all.
Thank you. Yeah. No, see, I didn't see. Your sister didn't text me, so I was surprised by that one. That was the only surprise this year. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh,
Would have been
okay.
nice.
Would have been nice. Thanks
What did you
for
think?
ruining it.
So I loved what they did with Namor. Like, what did you guys think?
Yeah, Oren and I are in the dark. You mean the change of? I mean, I know
Oh,
that
just-
they changed
I mean,
his
just-
sort of cultural background.
no,
I mean, I'm fine with that. I think it was to distinguish from Aquaman.
Yeah.
Who weirdly now by casting is now from, well, basically we're Jason Momoa.
He's Polynesian.
Polynesian,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
So it's almost like you didn't have to sort of set yourself off. But
I
actually love
thought,
it.
I mean, it looks good. I'll tell you when I see the movie, but
It plays.
I don't have
really
a problem
well.
with it.
I like it. I like when they take something has some historic, relevance. They obviously tweak it a bit,
Yeah.
but it makes sense. They,
It
like,
also. Well, I was gonna say, like, to your point, it also feels very Marvel.
Yeah.
Whereas like DC was always like made up cities and
Pretty much.
places.
Yeah.
And Stan and Jack and Steve and everybody, they made Marvel like in our world.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so it feels very Marvel for them.
And
to
it
be
was-
like, how can we
Even cool that when not the Atlanteans, it's the
Talocanians?
Talocanians, when they get out of the water, because they're not have the oxygen, their skin turns blue. And I
love
said,
that.
you know what? I'll give them extra points because that was a clever way of getting around the whole blue skin thing. I'm like, wait a
Yep.
minute. Are they going to be blue the whole time? They're going to stay. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They're not blue under the water because they absorb the oxygen from the water. And then when they're on land, the air dries them out. So they turn blue skin. That's a
love
clever
that.
way of doing something. So there.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
I
gentlemen,
like that.
we are past our usual time. Oren
That
has to
never
get up
happens.
early.
2022 is a
tomorrow.
big year.
Yeah.
It was a big year. Yeah.
It was.
Before we go, though, Mitch, is there anything we can look forward to towards Terrificon that you have lined up that you can share with us?
Subtly, I was hinting at guests that are coming to the show during our discussion. That's how weird I am. I'll give you one right now that no one knows because I haven't posted
Ooh.
anything.
Exclusive.
If you guys didn't see Black Panther 2 yet, but if you did, the guy that plays Atuma is coming to Terrificon. He's a big guy, man. He's like 6'5", 6'6".
So he's going to be there this year?
Yeah, he'll be
Nice.
there.
I
And
will be there.
And the guy that took over and fired Henry Cavill, his younger brother, Sean Gunn, is coming back for the third
Nice.
time. Be there. So And
Well,
and,
you-
and Harrison Ford's there. Oh no, I made that up.
Aaron, you're get off my plane.
Exactly.
Get off my.
I'm just gonna go to an old folks home and grab a senior citizen. No one's gonna know.
No one's gonna same thing.
Be fine.
Put that hat on, old man.
Put him in a helicopter and have him pilot in.
Well,
I didn't kill my wife.
Yeah.
I don't care. Anyway,
I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to have helicopters at Mohegan anymore. It's a long story.
oh
One day I'll come
Oh.
on and tell you about the Batcopter incident.
All right, someone write
Jesus,
that down.
open with that next time. God.
Mm.
All right. Well, gentlemen, look, I want to thank you all for joining us for as this walk down to 2022 memory lane of the comic book world. It's been fun because I think we could probably do this probably another hour because that's what
Easily.
people of our kind do. Just discuss.
Oh wait, did
comics.
we cover
Yeah,
Black
spe-
Adam?
Speaking, actually, before we go, can I just
Yes.
run down?
Absolutely.
Just a few things because we only like kind of touched on the reading of comics.
I know.
Oh, crap.
Is that
Like,
what we do
trying to-
here?
Trying to bring that back. But anyway, go ahead.
So just my list of recs for people to check out. Like I said, DC doing great things. Nightwing, it's my favorite book. So read Nightwing. Saga, Brian K. Vaughan, like
Yeah.
holy fucking shit. He like Brian K. Vaughan just makes too many feelings, but they're he's just so good at it. Do a Power Bomb, but Daniel Warren Johnson's like latest creator-owned book is phenomenal. Like just read it. If you like wrestling, read it. If you like battles in hell for people's souls, read it. If you just like cool shit, read it. And then Kaya is another good one. That's a new one from Image Comics. And then I will wrap the whole thing up with an indie comic by somebody named Chuck Sufel, very special guy. It's his very first comic book, and he wrote it. It's called Sherlock Holmes and the Wonderland Conundrum. Alice in Wonderland meets Sherlock Holmes. Read them, folks.
That sounds
Get
interesting.
comics, kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is I'm making note of these as you're mentioning them.
Don't
because
forget to raid those dollar bins because you can find gold in there, like Submariner and
Yeah.
like Luke Cage #9. Luke Cage meets Dr.
Ooh.
Doom.
Oh,
You got that in
Wow.
a dollar bin?
Yeah, you got to look good for that stuff. And
Oh,
even of
nice.
course, great ones by Jose Garcia Lopez. Superman when he needed
Oh my
Supermobile.
God, the super shuttle with the arms.
Supermobile.
God damn it,
Yeah.
I hated that thing.
Or
cool toy.
All right.
or if
All
you're
right, that's
lucky
it.
enough, you can get one of these in the dollar bin.
Wow.
I bought that off the racks at the 7-Eleven for 50 cents.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
And read old stuff like, look, Miracle Man, look, Treasure.
Ooh.
Oh, and look, is that an Alan Davis cover? You know who's coming to Terrificon? Alan Davis.
You
There
heard
you
it
go.
You
here,
heard it here,
folks.
folks. Joe and I are saying the same thing.
All right,
All right.
gents.
I think we did a lot of 2022, a lot of
That's
movies, a little bit of dollar bins.
Yeah.
A lot of other stuff. Joe, take us out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Dollar Bin Bandits. If you enjoyed listening as much as we did recording it, please rate, review, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you guys are, if you guys want to call us out on our BS, by all means do so. Please, please, please check out Oh Yeah Comics. Check out Megabrain Comics. Check out Terrificon. Check out your latest and greatest comic book shop near you, because that's why we're here. Okay. Megabrain, I went there the first time this year and I absolutely adored it.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
You didn't have double XL t-shirts though.
Oh.
That's why Oren's wearing that one. No, I'm just
Damn
messing with
it.
It's all good. Yeah, there's something for everyone there. So I highly recommend it if you're in the area. And
If you're not in the area, you can go to megabraincomics.com.
mm.
There you go.
What area would that be?
Dutchess County, New York, in the Hudson Valley of New York State.
There you go.
there we go. And be sure to check out Terrificon.
Terrificon,
Next year.
July 28th to the 30th at the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut. Tickets on sale right now.
Hopefully, all
In
three of the Dollar Bin
2023.
Bandits and John will be there as well.
A comic book convention that's actually a comic book convention.
Say it ain't so.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We hope everyone had a great 2022 and an even better 2023. Have a great one, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye, everybody.